Hi, Matt. Here's my update for today. So basically, I just looked into the TFT combat and also worked on some of the positioning in the game. So I was able to get download the TFT because yeah, during for some reason perfect timing right after our meeting was when the Cloudflare outage started. But yeah, I'll probably just download it tomorrow or something. Okay, so Uh, okay, let's first start with the TFT stuff. So basically, I just made a quick list here because I realized that the TFT combat's pretty simple, pretty straightforward, and the reason why it's pretty straightforward is because they're using a grid-based system. So that means they don't have to worry about the uh, like the characters clumping together because they just position themselves into the grid, and that immediately just makes them have space for each other. So I think that's why it looks better in TFT, the combat here, compared to our game. So yeah, first thing I noticed was that in TFT, yeah, the combat is basically happening in a grid, in the hex grid, and so that's why they're not taking up each other's space. They're all just in their own position and they're attacking adjacent to the grid. So So yeah, that's also probably why in Championship the combat looks janky because they're just going straight towards each other, while instead of positioning in a grid like this. So what I mean by that, wait, maybe I can just show it to you like this. Here, so for example, this one in the middle here is the attack target, and then all the adjacent slots around it are the spaces available to attack the target. So let's say this is an enemy, and then your player character will walk towards one of the closest available slots and then start attacking the enemy here. It will recalculate where to go when if the enemy crew member dies. Or I mean not enemy crew member, but if the enemy dies, now it will go to the next closest enemy and find the closest adjacent slot. So yeah, that's basically how it works. So yeah, how did they choose to attack? So they just attack the closest enemy they see. So there's no like priority or like who's more important to attack. They just attack the closest enemy. And there's a unit retarget. So if the current target of the character dies, then they just that's the time they switch to a different target. But probably for our game, for example, an enemy crew member is fighting or damaging a system, and then let's say the player crew members hit the enemy, then we should be able to target the player crew member instead of the system. Because if we're gonna follow TFT, then the enemy crew member would just continue targeting the system, but that doesn't make sense. They should prioritize defending themselves. So yeah, how did they choose to attack? So that's how closest enemy for TFT in our case. Uh, Probably in our case it's also the closest enemy, but it is. Wait, no, it's also the closest enemy. I didn't do anything else with that. So how do units avoid clumping? The one TFT doesn't clump because of the grid. So, well, in our case, it's like a free. There's no grid. It's just a free environment, so it's easy for them to clump up. But I fixed that issue somehow. So previously, the crew members are able to pass through each other. Wait, let me just add my crew members. Previously, the crew members are able to pass through each other, so that's why it's easier for them to clump up. but I yeah made brought back the collision, so now they're not able to pass each other. The reason they were able to pass each other in the first place because that was one of the solutions when trying to fix the pathfinding of the handlers when we had the handlers before because they keep on hitting each other. But Unreal Engine has I use one of the Unreal Engine's solution to obstacles. So previously, the reason why there's no collision if I assign Bob past Claire and Kiara here, Bob will just get stuck there between Claire and Kiara. But yeah, this basically like this Unreal Engine solution, there's like a force field that kind of pushes Bob away when the closer they get to one of the characters. So for now, I think this is fine. No one gets stuck easily, even though there's collision. So as you can see, Claire, yeah, they're not getting stuck with each other. And I also increased their attack range, so they're not too close to each other when fighting. So yeah, let me get an invader here. Show you how that looks like. Okay, I guess these guys are just attacking the system. Okay, there. So right now they're not passing through each other. They're a bit close still because if I increase their attack range further, they'll just look weird. It's like they're punching air. But okay, wait, I won that too quickly. Let me start again. And the reason why they're not spawning in the systems, I just disabled that for a second just to test something. I also made their because like the health bars smaller. I also removed the icon so that doesn't look like it's overlapping too much. Uh, the reason why in TFT it's not a problem is because yeah, like what I said, the grid. So okay, and here you can see there's no grid. That's why the because the health bar are overlapping each other. But because of the grid in the actual battles, they have their own space for. Okay, you can see there's a bit of overlapping here. I guess it's unavoidable. But yeah, I guess the grid helps to space out the health bars so that they don't overlap. And also another thing I noticed with the TFT is that, okay, let's say in this scenario, uh, this enemy here doesn't have an adjacent slot for another melee crew member. I mean, a melee character. So right now this is being attacked by two characters. So this third character here, he just won't attack because there's no space for him. Um, yeah, not sure if this will be if we're gonna copy this for a game. Probably not, since uh, I mean there it's probably rare for a case like this to happen. But yeah, probably just make them all attack even though there's no space. Just gonna try to squeeze into it. But yeah, so for the TFT, I think what we can take from here is basically just the simplicity of the combat. So in TFT, it's very simple, just attacks the closest target, and also the range characters are pretty simple in TFT. So usually in other games, for example, the range character is attacking another character. When the melee character goes close to the range character will move away, going back to avoid itself being hit by the melee. But in TFT's case, the ranged character just goes closer, and once it's close enough to hit the target, it starts fighting, and it doesn't run away. So the ranged target doesn't run away if a melee character is coming towards them. They just stay still. So yeah, we can probably just do the same thing as well. So it's simple. So that's what we can take away from TFT, the simplicity. So just tag the closest one. The ranged characters don't have any special things happening to them. They just work basically the same as melee. They're just farther. And there's some things that can't be replicated. So basically, the clumping is can't we can't. There's no good solution with the clumping because our game doesn't have a grid, and I don't think it's gonna be easy to implement something like this in our game, a grid system in our game, since there's no built-in solution for that in Unreal Engine, and if we were to make something like that, I'd have to create it from scratch. And what else? Yeah, the battles. So when it comes to the combat and the battle system, I think game feel is also pretty important to make it feel satisfying. Because right now the logic is pretty much there, so they just attack the closest enemy, and they uh, right now, I mean, they don't clump up as bad as before because they have their own space now. They have their own collisions. Wait, let me try going to different battles so you can see that again. But yeah, they have their own space now, and they don't go through each other. So I think that will fix like the clumping issues. And I also made it so that the systems are also solid, so that they cannot. Because before, when you assign someone to attack a system, they'll just go through inside, let's say in the engine. If I assign Kara to attack the engine, Kara will just go inside the engine. But yeah, I fixed that. So let's say, okay, I don't have a transporter. Wait, let me try going to another invader. Okay, this time, okay, if you're wondering why they suddenly have full health, it's because I went through a tavern. Made it so that once you enter a tavern, they have full health. Okay, now you can see I made them uh, target the systems. Okay, so they're attacking from the outside. Okay, now that's under not going inside the engine anymore. They're attacking from the outside. And yeah, so yeah, it looks better now compared to last time, and yeah, the overlapping UI is still an issue, but it's more readable now. I think. I think also the reason why it's easier to, I mean, it's not an issue in TFTs because you're zoomed in, while here it's zoomed out. So that's why this health bars overlapping each other is a bigger issue. But maybe removing the name will help. But I think it'll just make it even more confusing. I don't know which health bar is who anymore. And yeah, I think. Yeah. Anyway, I got sidetracked. I was about to say that the overall logic I think, is good. Right now, what's missing is the range weapons, so that's what I'll add next, and also the items. But other than that, I think what's lacking with the combat right now, why it feels not as good as TFT, is that it's the game feel. So basically, the animations are just punching. The sound effects are pretty bad. There's no particle. Wait, I made a list here. So, for example, add tag animations, sound effects, flash particles. Also, I remember you mentioning when, for example, something gets damaged, gets a white flash, and hit stop. So basically, when when you're attacking and then you hit the target, the animation freezes for like point something milliseconds to indicate, so to make the attack feel heavier. Okay, maybe camera shake isn't that useful for a game like this, but yeah, those are some suggestions. And yeah. Other than that, I'm not sure how else to improve the battle system. Maybe I have more suggestions. But that's my update for today. My next task would be the mid-range weapons and AoE attacks. So you mentioned that you wanted some AoE attacks. I'll try implementing that, but I'm not sure how to visualize it since we only have the simple attack animation. Maybe I'll just use some particle effects. But yeah, other than that, that's my update for the day. Thanks for watching, Amit. Have a good day.